Welcome to another edition of Helmets Off. I'm the host, Scott Mitchell. Helmets Off is now on. And I want to go back many, many years ago to my rookie year with the Miami Dolphins. And I had a rather fun, it was a great experience and just a great time. A lot of wonderful teammates, just some super guys. And of course, I had the great privilege of playing with Dan Marino. He was an incredible player. And to watch how he prepared, to watch how he was in practice, to watch just his whole demeanor about being just a master of his craft was just a special treat for me in my career. But there was a time in the very beginning that he kind of laid the foundation, laid the groundwork, gave the operating rules, as you would, or the things that I needed to understand in order to be there as a quarterback with the Miami Dolphins. So very early on, when we got there, he said, look, you need to understand, there are some rules here, and I want you to memorize the rules. And this is like the Bible. This is the Bible of football. And if you understand this, then things are going to go very well for you here. He said, rule number one, he said, pick a guy and let it fly. He says, you just got to go out there, just pick a guy, let it fly. Rule number two, very important rule. If Danny ain't throwing, we ain't going. That was rule number two. And the third rule, which I'm not sure if it's actually a rule or not, it might be a statement of fact, and it depends on who you are, if it's a fact or not, but to Dan Marino, I think it was a fact. This was the best one of all. He said, the day you were born, and you won't remember this because you were just born. The day you were born, your mother cried. She cried because you weren't Dan Marino. And he said, now remember all those rules, and I'm going to ask you what they are, and you need to know what they are because that's how it is here with the Miami Dolphins. Now later on, ran into Dan at a game one time, and I brought this up. I said, do you remember those rules? And he goes, I don't even remember that. He says, and I made you memorize those rules? And so he says, what are the rules? Anyways, I told him, and he laughed. He thought it was really funny. Well, my mom, I was on this show called The Biggest Loser, and my mom called me not long after I got off the show. And she said, Scott, she says, you know, you're now better than Dan Marino. You lost 126 pounds on The Biggest Loser, and Dan Marino only lost 22 pounds on Nutrisystem. So now you're better than Dan Marino. All right, just a little trip down memory lane. Gotta love my Dan Marino though. You can text helmets to 65537, go to all those social sites and like us. Dial us in on your smartphone. Come back anytime, we'd love to have you. Until then, we'll catch you soon.